Hi everyone, my name is Anthony Martino. I wrote, directed, and edited Bruises.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren. I was the actress in Bruises.
So this was made for a class project at UT, my final semester in film school. It was to make a 1-minute film that featured mirrors in some way. And I had always been inspired by Sam Raimi films, and usually in his movies there's something that happens with mirrors, and usually it's not very good. And so that was kind of the thing I was playing with, is mirrors and sort of like insanity, and that was my main inspiration. So if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them.
So when I was watching this, as a woman in particular, it was very powerful. But as I was watching this, what I took away, and you can tell me if this is right or wrong, is that like she's seen how the end game is gonna go, even if we're not there yet with this situation. Is that kind of what you both had in mind?
That is, so I made this with the idea that it was open for interpretation, and I love hearing how people interpret it, and I don't have an answer for why this is happening to her, and so that could very well be what's happening to her. And that's what I love so much about like psychological horror films, is that, especially ones that don't kind of like spoon feed the audience about like what's happening and just like outwardly explaining everything that's happening, is that you can, you know, interpret it in however many ways that you want. And that's the first time I've heard someone interpret it that way. And so I love hearing what people think about the film. Lauren?
Yeah, chime in, Lauren.
You get caught now.
I think she struggled with a lot, and in the end she just knew, I have to go through this or I'm gonna die, kind of thing. And she just tries to power through it in the end, but there's not really much she can do. She's alone and struggling.
Got it. Thank you.
And the breaking of the mirror at the end was definitely supposed to sort of signify like breaking out of the cycle of the abuse. So that's a consistent in the story, is her smashing the mirror, breaking the cycle of, you know, her getting injured when she sees her reflection. That is supposed to signify her breaking out of it. So that is the only thing about the story that I think is like a for sure, with the sort of like the psychological nature of what's happening to her.
Yeah.
I hope that I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Cool. So excellent film, guys. It was really a really great watch. I always enjoy psychological thrillers like that. And so my question was, when you were first kind of writing this and pitching this, did you have in mind that your lead would be a woman? And then also Lauren, like coming into this, like how did you as an actor come into it and kind of give your own feedback on, hey, I don't know how it would feel more realistic and more organic, or just an actor, how did you also interact with that?
So with how I knew I wanted the main character to be a woman is, I don't know, I think when I write stories, I tend to write women as like the main characters, or like the story kind of like revolves around women, and I don't do that like on purpose or anything. It's just like kind of just like where my brain goes, I suppose. I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question? I blanked out.
Yeah, and it was just like, did you have that in mind when you were kind of coming up with the story? And how did that, I guess I'll add a little bit more to it. How did that affect how you kind of thought of the shots and how you thought of how you wanted the arc?
I think I kind of like took like a very delicate approach to like how I chose every shot, and how I chose, you know, Lauren to be in the film, is that like I knew this was like a very delicate and like, you know, sensitive kind of, you know, topic to make a film about, and so I wanted that to be reflected in the way that I made every kind of choice, every shot, how I wrote the script, how I, you know, spoke to the actors. So that's kind of what informed my decision, and I know it really resonated a lot because I had a lot of submissions for this. Because if you are familiar with Backstage, you know, you can cast actors from there. I had like not 500, maybe like 300 people who submitted for the part. So it's something that, you know, that resonates with a lot of people. Lauren, do you want to add to it?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm very grateful for Anthony bringing me on this project. As immediately when he told me about it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good one. And I just felt it, and when I'm trying to get into a role as specific as this one, try and bring those feelings into me where I felt hurt, sadness, all of these different emotions and to what she's feeling, and trapped, like all these different things, and try and think back to moments that I felt like that I could really bring that to this role. And so I really tried to tap into that for this role, and I'm just so grateful for Anthony bringing me on for this project, because I love it so much.
Hello.
Hi, sorry, I'm kind of nervous.
No, you're okay.
Lauren, well done. Well done. I guess what the other woman had kind of asked, and you said it was kind of up for interpretation. I didn't know what to expect when I saw Bruises, and then all of a sudden it started. And when I saw it first, there were no bruises, and you're just putting on makeup, but you're looking in the mirror, and then all of a sudden it became real. And someone who came from in a controlled, verbally, mentally, emotionally abusive, but not physical. But it was there, it was torture, it was torment. Nobody could see it, but we knew it. So I just saying from an interpretation, I felt it, because it became very real. Because what you look in and no one can see, but all of a sudden the bruises and all the things started happening because it was what's inside. And then to the end, there was a bruise as soon as you heard. So it's like it did come to fruition, if you don't get it, you know, but it became just the whole process. So it meant, like, for someone who's been through it, it was very, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of women that are in torment, torture, but don't have the bruises to show it. So it was really well done.
Thank you. I mean, not to trauma dump in front of everybody, but this was the first film that I made after getting out of like a really kind of abusive relationship, and it was the sort of one that you described, where it was like mental.
It goes both ways.
And like, this wasn't something that I was thinking while I was making the film, even though that just happened to me because I had just gotten out of that relationship. And so, looking back on it, I didn't realize this until this played at the River Oaks last October, and someone asked me a question about, like, similar to what you asked, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, this was the first thing that I made after getting out of that relationship. Like, of course you can, like, you know, connect the dots there. Like, of course it would be something like this. Like, that's what I was going through mentally, and it was like, looking back, because I was not thinking about this while I was making it. I was not thinking about this at all.
Yeah.
But looking back, it's like, of course you would make this after coming out of something like that, and it's like a really cathartic
Yeah,
thing
because
to
it's
make.
like a reflection. That's how I saw it. It's a reflection back at us. What we're feeling inside is the abuse, but nobody can see it yet.
Yeah.
And then it was like, so you did yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so Anthony, when you were doing the different ways you approach having the reflections, did you have any that like came to mind that you weren't able to do because of like a time limit, or you didn't have the, you know, maybe the capabilities at the time that you would want to have done, like different, like, you know how the mirror fell on the ground?
Yeah.
And then Lauren, kind of the same question for you, like approaching it, knowing what you know as you were getting into character. Is there anything that you either brought to the table or wanted to bring in that you felt kind of added to the impact of the different ways you were getting the injuries?
So the main thing is I was like very much kind of limited by what I had access to, and I originally envisioned more stuff happening, because so what happens in the film, I don't know if it's clear, but like she is trying to go to like a grocery store, and she can't drive because if she sees her reflection in the rearview mirror, she'll get another injury, so she has to walk there. originally we were supposed to see her go out there and be around more people and like see her reflection in more things, but I just wasn't able to film in a grocery store, so I just kind of have to imply that that's where she goes. And that was the main thing, and I also was originally planning on filming in a different location, but I ended up having to film in my apartment because I realized that I had written the script specifically so that her like medicine cabinet is in that little like three-way mirror thing that's there. And if I were to film somewhere else, like the film wouldn't work if I wasn't able to have the medicine cabinet, because that's where she keeps her, you know, pain medicine and her Band-Aids and all that. But there's also a mirror right next to her that she never sees her reflection in, so, you know, maybe that would have been something I could have played around with, because there's the 3-part mirror and then there's one right next to her head that we just kind of ignore. But maybe see, I don't know, what other things can you see your reflection in?
I thought it worked out well.
Thank you. But yeah, like to what I think I would have changed or like maybe done differently if I had the time, I probably would have added the sort of like grander scale. But I remember when I showed it to my film class, someone actually said that she didn't like that the girl sees her when she's jogging because it breaks the immersion of it being like in the woman's head. Because if someone sees her, then it's like, oh, well then it's actually happening and it's not like psychological, is what the person was saying. But I don't know if I entirely agree with that, so, you know, it is what it is. But I'm proud of how the film turned out.
I would say I agree, just because it's like, I mean, if you see somebody walking by looking the way she did, you don't know if the woman saw the wounds or just saw the way the woman's body language was. So the way I interpreted it was, you walk by and you're like, oh, that, you know, is there something going on there, regardless of what she did or didn't see from the woman, from the body language and the way you acted the scene out, you could tell something was going on. So I think it worked.
Thank you.
Well, I feel like you guys just kind of answered my question, but I think Anthony and Lauren did an amazing job, so let's give them another round of applause. But my question, or not really a question, but I understand that her covering the mirror with the towel was her not wanting to see herself in that state, obviously, and kind of just like refusing that she's in that situation. But then she goes to the grocery store and she has somebody else walk past, and I was wondering if you had, like, I guess, did you have it as people notice but they don't say anything, or people notice and they know, or like?
I think the idea that the intention I had was that people don't always kind of like take action when they see stuff like that. I mean, the first example that comes to my mind is like if you're at like a Target or something and like a mom is like yelling at their kid,
Yeah.
and you're just like, whoa, okay, like I'm just gonna like ignore that.
That's your own situation.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm gonna like not.
Leave that alone, it's not my business.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I don't know if it entirely works because the jogger is another woman, and I don't know if, you know.
Well, that was the whole thing, was like, it's another woman. I feel like you kind of understand what is happening, but you're afraid to say something because you don't understand people's situations. So I was just wondering what your take on that was and why you chose to put that in the film.
I wanted you to wonder if it was really happening or not. And I think you can interpret it as the woman not being able to like reach out to help for anybody, because I don't think any of that's actually happening. It's all in her head. So it's sort of like a part of her brain, the trauma kind of like manifesting into this kind of like vision of people aren't helping me, or like I can't be helped, I can't reach out for help sort of thing. So I don't know if like everything is to be taken like literally, but you can take it as literally that this is really happening to her. So if you want to believe that there's some, you know, magic that's making this happen to her, then sure,
Yeah.
you know. But I think that was my idea for it, was
Okay.
that it was sort of how she sees everybody
Yeah,
else.
I thought it was just like interpretation for yourself, but I just was wondering if there was any interpretation for you.
For
like
me
during-
specifically,
yeah.
how I interpret it. No, I
Okay.
don't. I
No,
leave it
I
all
didn't
up for
know,
y'all
so
to
I just
interpret.
wanted to
Like
ask.
literally, I welcome however y'all want to interpret this. I want to hear it because, as I said before, this was like a manifestation of everything I was going through
Yeah,
at that time,
absolutely.
and so maybe not everything makes sense. Maybe it's,
But it's to your own interpretation.
but it's
Okay.
exactly yeah.
I figured, but I just wanted to ask if it was anything to do with what you thought.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys did amazing.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I have posters if anyone wants a poster. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, and thank you to Anthony.
Can we get all the other filmmakers who were up on stage tonight back up here? We're going to take a big group picture.